So there's a very interesting phenomenon, if you can call it that, where you realize that when maybe you're trying to get a girl's attention and she's been bluffing you all along, and you withdraw, she suddenly comes back. It's strange, isn't it? The moment you stop chasing, she turns around. The attention she once ignored now feels like something she's missing. But why does this happen? What shifts in her mind when you pull back, not out of strategy, but out of self-respect? That's what we'll explore today. Welcome to Stoic Station, where we don't chase what runs, we become what holds its ground. If you've ever found yourself confused by someone's sudden return after your silence, this video may give you the clarity you didn't know you needed. And if you find value in today's message, consider subscribing to Stoic Station, where we grow through stillness, not noise. Now that we've set the tone, let's break down why she truly comes back when you finally give her distance. Let's begin. Reason number 1. She feels guilty or regretful. Sometimes the silence you leave behind becomes louder than any argument, any plea, any message you could have sent. And in that silence, she begins to hear the truth she once ignored, the way she brushed off your presence, the way she dismissed your efforts, the way she let your loyalty hang in the air, unanswered. It begins to haunt her, not because she suddenly realized she loves you, but because her conscience has nowhere left to hide. Distance has a strange way of forcing self-reflection, and while you've been learning to let go and rebuild, she's been quietly questioning whether she handled it all wrong. Her return might be soft, unsure, filled with vague apologies or casual check-ins. But beneath it all may lie a desire to ease her own guilt more than to build something new with you. This is where your emotional maturity is tested. Her regret isn't always a sign to reopen old doors. Sometimes it's just a closing chapter on her end. And your task is not to read her words, but to observe her patterns, because remorse can mimic affection, and unless it's paired with accountability and change, it's not love returning, it's simply guilt knocking at your door. Reason number 2. She's curious why you stopped. There's a shift she didn't see coming. One moment your presence was a constant, your texts, your attention, the quiet ways you showed up. And then, without warning, it stopped. The stillness unsettles her, not because she suddenly realizes what she had, but because she no longer feels the validation she once took for granted. Curiosity begins to stir, not necessarily love, but confusion. Did he meet someone else? Did he finally let go? Was I wrong in how I handled him? These questions echo in her mind, not because of deep affection, but because silence is often more mysterious than presence. And mystery, to the human mind, is magnetic. Your calm withdrawal carries weight. It signals something rare, self-control, and that unnerves her more than any plea or confrontation ever could. You're no longer orbiting her world. You've returned to your own. That absence creates a pull not born of connection, but of disrupted expectation. She may reach out, trying to fill in the blanks. But remember this: when a woman comes back out of curiosity, it's not always because she wants you. Sometimes she just wants to know if she still has you. Your job now is to guard your peace, not offer it to someone who only noticed its worth once it went quiet. Reason number 3. Scarcity creates value. When you were always there, always available, always reaching out, she never had to wonder. You were a constant presence, a source of attention she could rely on without ever having to earn it. But the moment you chose to step back, not out of bitterness, but out of self-respect, something changed. The access she once had has now become distance, and in that absence, desire quietly reawakens. This isn't a game. It's not about punishing her. It's about reclaiming your worth. The law of scarcity doesn't just apply to gold, art, or rare opportunities. It applies to you. When something becomes less accessible, we naturally perceive it as more valuable. And when you stop offering your energy freely, people begin to notice its weight. There's a primal psychology behind it. She starts to wonder what she overlooked. Why is your attention no longer easy to reach? Who are you becoming when you're no longer anchored to her responses? A man who values his time, his energy, and his purpose becomes more valuable without needing to prove it. So pour your energy into what strengthens you, your body, your mission, your peace. Because when you rise for yourself, you won't need to chase validation. It will come looking for you. Reason number 4, you've improved yourself. There's a quiet power in transformation, a kind that doesn't seek attention, but commands it. While she was fading from your life, you chose not to crumble, but to rise. You got back into the gym, not to impress her, but to reclaim your strength. You started speaking with more certainty, walking with more purpose, and living with a kind of peace that doesn't need validation to feel real. That shift didn't happen overnight, but it did happen, and the world began to notice, including her. At first, it's subtle. Maybe a friend mentions your name with admiration. Maybe she sees a photo where your eyes no longer carry the same desperation. Maybe it's just your silence that says everything. You're no longer the man who waited for her to choose you. You're the man who chose himself, and that energy, that evolution, is magnetic. So when she checks in, asking how you've been, it's rarely just small talk. What she's really wondering is, did he grow beyond me? The truth is, yes, you did, and that growth wasn't revenge. It wasn't a performance. It was a return to the man you were always meant to be before you dimmed your light just to keep someone else comfortable. You didn't glow up to get her back. You evolved so you'd never lose yourself again. Reason number 5. Social proof changes everything. There's a certain shift that happens when the world starts to see your worth. When your name enters conversations with admiration, when your presence in a room is no longer overlooked, and when the people around you begin to speak of your growth, your character, and your rising influence. This is social proof, and while it may not be something you intentionally chase, it's something that inevitably follows a man who is aligned with his purpose. She might hear your name mentioned with respect. She might see a photo of you smiling beside someone new. Maybe she notices the confidence in your posture, the subtle shift in your tone, or the way others now respond to you. And without meaning to, she starts to question herself. Was I too quick to walk away? Did I miss something real? That reflection isn't rooted in vanity. It's the natural result of a man who no longer seeks approval. When others admire you, not because you demanded it, but because you became someone worth admiring, it forces her to reassess what she once took for granted. But here's your strength. Don't rise for applause. Don't rebuild to spark envy. You're not here to win her back. You're here to become a man so grounded, so complete, that recognition becomes a byproduct, not the goal. Let her see the life you're building, but make sure every brick was laid for you, not for her. Reason number 6. She misses your validation. There's a kind of presence you gave her that went beyond words. It wasn't about compliments or grand gestures. It was the way you made her feel seen when she wasn't trying, safe when she didn't have to ask, and valued simply for who she was, not for what she did. You offered something few men are willing to give, honest, grounded validation born from genuine care. At the time, she may not have fully understood what she had. Perhaps she mistook your steadiness for predictability or your attentiveness for weakness. But the world outside doesn't always offer the same depth. When she stepped away, she expected more of what she had with you, but what she found was coldness, transaction, and conditional interest. That's when memory begins to blur into longing. She starts to remember the way your presence made her feel anchored, not because she wants to rebuild, but because she wants to feel that warmth again. But missing your validation isn't the same as missing you. One speaks to her emotional comfort. The other would require her to truly value you, not just what you gave. You are not a backup plan. You are not a soft place to land after someone else disappointed her. You are not a refill station for someone who walked away from the very fountain that sustained her. Protect your energy, and don't offer your light to someone who only seeks it when they're standing in the dark. Reason number 7. You seem focused on your life mission. There's a certain gravity to a man who is no longer chasing, but building. When you stop revolving around her and begin aligning your days with a deeper sense of direction, something within you shifts. It's not loud, it's not showy, but it's undeniable. The energy you once poured into seeking her attention is now being invested into your craft, your health, your business, your legacy. That kind of focus doesn't just change how you walk, it changes how the world responds to you. And she feels it, even if she can't explain it. The texts have stopped. The updates have gone quiet. Your emotional availability has been replaced by quiet confidence. She doesn't see you sitting around waiting. She sees a man who has moved into motion, forward, upward, inward. A man who no longer needs her to feel whole. That kind of presence is powerful, because true purpose is magnetic. She may reappear, not because she believes in your mission, but because she senses you're lit up by something far bigger than her. That fire draws attention, but not all attention is meant to be entertained. This is the moment where you must remain anchored. You didn't find your direction just to get her back. You found it to get yourself back. And anyone who re-enters your life must meet you where you are now, not where you used to be. Don't chase love. Chase what makes you come alive. The people meant for your journey will recognize the flame, not just the heat. Let those who can't handle your purpose step away. Real alignment doesn't need convincing. It simply belongs. Reason number 8. Jealousy or possessiveness kicks in. There's a strange contradiction in human nature, especially when it comes to relationships. Some people will walk away from you without hesitation, yet the thought of someone else holding your hand, hearing your laughter, or feeling the calm of your presence becomes unbearable to them. It's not about love, it's about possession. She may have dismissed you when your heart was open, ignored your kindness, turned her back when you offered consistency and care. But now that your attention has shifted, or maybe someone new has entered your life, the idea of losing that invisible grip over you starts to unsettle her. Suddenly she resurfaces, not with clarity or commitment, but with vague messages, emotional breadcrumbs, or passive interest. It's not connection she seeks, it's control. This isn't affection, it's ego in disguise. The possessiveness doesn't come from a place of wanting to build something real with you. It comes from the discomfort of watching you be emotionally available to someone else. It's the realization that her access to you is no longer guaranteed, and if you allow her back into your life without discernment, you risk stepping into the same emotional maze she once left you lost in. A loop of confusion, inconsistency, and unmet expectations. You must be wise enough to recognize the difference between someone who wants you and someone who just doesn't want to lose their influence over you. Obsession may feel intense, but it's not the same as connection. One chokes the soul, the other nurtures it. Protect your peace, guard your growth, and never hand your heart back to someone who only comes around when they see it thriving without them. Reason number 9. She loves the thrill of the chase. There are women who don't crave connection, they crave the feeling of being chased. For them, attention is a kind of currency, and the more men they can keep orbiting around them, the more validated they feel. It's not about love, and it's certainly not about building anything meaningful. It's about the rush, the temporary high of being desired, pursued, needed. When you pull away, something shifts. She doesn't necessarily miss you. She misses the attention, the way your messages used to light up her screen, the way your presence made her feel wanted. That absence creates discomfort, not because you were special to her, but because her ego was used to being fed. So she might reach out with a carefully placed compliment or a casual, "I miss you," just enough to spark hope in you, to see if she still holds a place in your heart. But if you take the bait, if you respond with the same energy you once gave, she disappears again. Because the moment she confirms your desire is still there, the chase is over, and so is her interest. It was never about who you are. It was always about how much power she held over your emotions. A man of maturity sees this pattern and doesn't engage. You are not a hit of dopamine. You are not a temporary ego boost. You are a whole man with depth, discipline, and dignity. Treat yourself accordingly. When someone only reaches for you to feel something fleeting, remember, your worth isn't defined by how many times someone returns, but by how many times you choose not to let them back in without something real. Final thought. If she comes back, don't just listen to her words. Pay attention to her reasons. Not every return is a declaration of love. Sometimes it's loneliness masked as affection. Sometimes it's ego, nostalgia, or the unsettling realization that your absence feels heavier than she expected. Her message might sound tender, but the motivation behind it can be layered with everything but genuine intention. But here's where the real shift happens. If you've done the work, if you've used the silence to rebuild, to rediscover your worth, to reconnect with your strength, then her return no longer defines your value. You've become the man who once longed for her presence, and now stands fully grounded in his own. A man she may want again, but a man who no longer waits to be chosen. You don't need closure from her. You don't need to be wanted back. What you need is peace, and if you've earned that through growth, no one can take it from you. So let your silence speak what words cannot. Let your evolution be the answer to every question she never asked. And most importantly, let your peace become the standard by which all future love must measure up. Because a man who finds his center never begs to be seen. He becomes impossible to overlook. That's all for today, and I truly appreciate you spending this time here. If something in this video spoke to you, if it reminded you of your worth, your strength, or the quiet power of walking away, let it stay with you long after the screen goes dark. If you found value in this message, take a moment to like the video and subscribe to Stoic Station. Your support helps this space grow and reach those who need it most. Turn on notifications so you never miss a reminder of who you're becoming. Until next time, stand tall, stay grounded, and keep walking forward.